Hi, and welcome back to Creating Joy. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a Christmas hot pad. So to begin with on our project, you're going to need 3 10-inch squares, or you can get them if you have a pack of a layer cake. So get 3. I have 3 that are already, and I just took some Christmas fabric that I had and I cut them 10 inches by 10 inches. Then you're going to need 10 inches, well, actually 10.5 inch by 10.5 inch of Insul Brite and of warm and natural batting, 100% cotton, 10.5 inches. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to take one of our 10 inches and we are going to layer it. We're going to put the Insul Brite, well, we're going to lay it down, face down. Put the Insul Brite first, and then we're going to take our batting and put it down. And I'm going to show you how you can make it look like it's quilted. I have a heat transferable pen that I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead, I'm turning my square on the diagonal so I can use the lines on my mat. So I'm starting at the top. I drew my first line a little bit from the edge, about 1 inch from the corner. And then I went ahead and I followed the line on my mat and do one line here, another inch, and do another line. And I'm using red because I have green fabric and it's helping it to show up good. So I purchased mine from Madame Sew. So you just keep drawing them across the whole entire square until you're all done. So if you notice, I'm starting in the center and I'm going up and then I'm going down. I have found that it's easier to draw the lines that way. You may have another device that you can just start at the top or bottom and go. Okay, now stop before you touch, before you move it. This is when you're going to pin it. I don't pin it before because it's really hard to draw the lines if you have pins all over. Okay, so now we're going to insert our pins and I'm going to insert them between my lines. Okay, or I could do it in front of my lines, however you want to do it to make it so that it's not going to shift or move. Okay, so I only put 3 pins in. We just want to make it so it doesn't shift while we are sewing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead to the sewing machine and we're going to follow all of our lines. Okay, so we're going to make sure our needle is lined up with our first line. I'm going to start a little bit off. You can see that the batting and the Insul Brite is sticking out over the edge. Okay, so if it's not, then remember you always want to look twice, cut once or sew once. So I am actually going to repin it because I am looking twice. And I'm going to center this a little better. Okay, so now I have it centered a little bit better. Making sure my Insul Brite is all lined up with my batting. Does it have to be perfect? No, because you're going to be cutting off your excess, okay? But you do want it to be hanging off over the edge. Okay, I'm going to repin it. So you guys will know from the very beginning to make sure it's centered so you won't have to unpin it like I did, right? Okay, now it's ready. Okay, so like I said, we're going to line the needle up with the very first line, and I'm going to start a little bit off. I mean, if you want to start on, you can, but I'm going to start right there. My machine automatically back stitches. If you want to just sew, that's fine. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the thread, and I'm going to start at the top each time. And I am using white thread for contrast. If you want to use matching thread to your fabric, that is fine too. Whichever one you want. So if I was doing a really big project, I would have started right in the middle, but where this is just a small project, I decided just to start on the side. Try to stay right on the line that you're sewing on, right? Get as straight a line as you can. Remember to take your pins out as you're sewing. You don't want to run over top of them. Break a needle doing that. Now I have it all sewn across. Now what I'm going to do is trim off all of my strings, and then I'm going to go iron it so that all of my lines will be erased. Okay, so just trim it right off. Next step we're going to take our little plate hot pad top, and we're going to trim off all of the edges. Okay, now that it's all trimmed off, we're going to take our other two pieces and we're going to fold them in half, both of them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to iron them folded. Okay. Okay, so we have them folded in half, and now we're going to press them so that we have a nice seam. Want the edges together as much as possible. Okay, so we'll take them back to our cutting table and we'll pin it together. Okay, so now we're going to lay it out. We're going to line it up with the edges. And because you cut this piece, so we trimmed down the outside, so now this is a little bit bigger. So it should overlap about, it's about 1/2 inch. So we're lining up the edges. Okay, and now we're going to pin it on. We're going to pin it on in the center. We're pinning on both sides so that it doesn't move. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way around the outside. Now this one is puckering a little bit, so I'm going to pin it together, hopefully so it'll stay down. So let's go ahead and sew all the way around the whole entire square. So remember to back stitch before you begin. So we're just going to start here at the corner. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam. You're going to want to hold it down so that it goes over top of that little divider. So I'm actually going to stop at the corner. Make sure my needle is down. I'm going to put the presser foot up and then turn so that we have a sharp corner. And then put the presser foot back down And then do the same at each corner. So I'm only going to sew until I fill the batting underneath. You don't want to sew off of the batting and the Insul Brite. You want to stay on the 3-layer cake, okay? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to trim all the excess. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our cutting table, or just get your scissors and you can trim, and you'll only want to leave a little bit. Don't cut your thread, but you want to leave a little bit. So if you're using scissors, then make sure that you're leaving, it's about, I don't know if that's 1/8 of an inch. It's not much. You're not leaving much, okay? But you're just following it along, okay? But the thing is, you don't want to cut that thread. Then you're going to cut a diagonal. This is going to help your corner to pop out. And then just keep cutting around all the edges. If you want to use your rotary cutter, you can do that. If you don't have straight lines, it might be better just to use the scissors and follow the line. This is a really good first project for someone that's learning how to sew. You can practice sewing your straight lines. This is where the magic begins. Okay, so we're going to take out the pins, stick them back in pin cushion. Now you're going to reach inside, grab the point, push it in, push out that little point. Do the same on the other side. Oh, I have one more pin. We are almost done. Now I'm going to take my pin and grab the corners and pull them out. Let's get a stronger one. So just reach in and you're pulling it out. See how it just comes right out when you grab it and you pull it. And just do that to each of your corners so they're all popped out and they look nice. This is how I get a lot of bent pins, but oh well. At least I have some nice looking corners, right? Now you basically have a finished top hat, except you have an opening here. So now we're going to get our seam so it's right on the edge and give this a little tug. Get all of our seams up. This is going to help us to be able to finish our project. So you're going to push it down. Then we're going to run over to the iron quick and we're going to iron all of these seams flat. Okay, so after we have ironed, now we're going to just do a quick top stitch right down the middle, making sure it's covered up. And I have matching thread this time. I have, so you can see my green thread on the top and the bottom to match my little hot pad. If you don't have matching thread, go ahead and just use white. So, and this will help to make sure that it stays closed. So I am going to be moving my needle to the right because I want to be right along the very, very edge. So I'm going to back stitch and then sew. So now if you want to go ahead and go around the whole entire outside, now would be the time to do that also. Sometimes you have to give it a little tug from behind because it's a little bit thicker. we are almost done. Now we're going to do our very last thing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get our 1.5 inch by 4 inch piece of fabric that is a contrasting fabric, or if you have the same color like I do, then you can get that. Okay, so here's my 1.5 by 4 inch, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fold in the top and press, fold in the bottom, and it's just a tiny bit that we're folding in, okay? Okay, and then we're going to fold in the sides, just again folding in just a little tiny bit, and fold in the other side. Now if you want to fold it in half first and then fold it, you can do that. I find it's a little tricky to do that, so you do whatever works for you. I'm now going to match up the sides, and then I'm going to press it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew over, down, and over. Remember to backstitch. Now I'm going to look at my hot pad and think, where would I want, if I had a little loop on it, like this, where would I want it to be? Would I want it to be right in the middle so I could hang it up? Or would I want it on the corner? So this is when you get to decide. So I want the quilting to show. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sew it on the back. So I'm just going to put it down, and then I'm going to sew all the way over and then all the way back, about 2 or 3 times. Now if you have a machine that you can push back stitch right here, I would do that. My new machine does not do that, so I'm just going to take it, I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to sew back again. Then I'm going to do it again. The reason why I'm doing it so many times is because I don't want it to fall off. Okay, and then I'm all done. Now, like I said, this is a beginner's project. So I did not teach how to sew this on when you were sewing the other part. Okay, so now we're going to trim all of our strings off. So here we have our beginner hot pad. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me this week on Creating Joy. And I hope you have fun making your own Christmas hot pads that you can give as gifts or use for your own home for decorating, or even just to use in your home. If you had fun making a hot pad or watching this, please subscribe and join me next week on Creating Joy.